Today we're comparing two full-size cars, the Toyota Avalon and the Nissan Maxima. Both are each brand's largest sedans. So let's drive through and see how each car evolved in technology and style. We'll also see which models are the best to buy and which ones to avoid if you're shopping for a used model. So hop in and let's go for a ride. Did you know that the first Toyota Avalon was built in Georgetown, Kentucky? The Japanese car manufacturers not only sold the Avalon in the U.S., they also exported them to Japan. But let's rewind a bit. It was 1994. Toyota introduced its flagship full-size car for the U.S. market. It was named the Avalon, after the island in the King Arthur legend. It was thus in line with Toyota's tradition of associating their sedans with royalty. The Avalon was a stretched version of the Camry. It was a front-wheel drive with the 3-liter V6 engine that output 192 horsepower. A few years later, in 1998, Toyota increased the output to 200 horsepower and torque to 214 pound-feet. The Avalon sat 6 passengers, which made it the most spacious 6-seater car from a Japanese car maker at that time. And its exterior size was almost the exact same as its competitor, the Nissan Maxima. At this time, the Nissan Maxima had already been in the market for 14 years. So now Nissan redesigned the Maxima and released its 4th generation. This new generation featured a new engine option for North America, the VQ30DE, which was a 3-liter V6 that output 190 horsepower. The Maxima also came with a Bose sound system, and critics praised the car for its roomier interior. This generation Maxima received several awards, including the Top 10 Engine of the Year, Motor Trend's Import Car of the Year, and Car and Driver Magazine's 10 Best list. Toyota made sure the 2nd generation Avalon would be even better than the previous one. The Avalon grew in every way except its wheelbase. It was still based on the stretched Camry platform and shared the same 3-liter V6 engine as the Toyota Highlander, which spun out 210 horsepower. This 2nd generation Avalon came available in 2 trim levels, the Basic XL and the Upscale XLS. The Avalon was now able to boast that it was the first car to offer a built-in 115-volt AC power inverter. Meanwhile, Nissan refreshed their vehicle and launched its 5th generation Maxima. It was designed in California and featured a 3-liter V6 engine that output 222 horsepower. A few years later, they replaced the engine with a 3.5-liter engine that produced 255 horsepower. The refresh included a larger grille opening, 6-speed manual transmission with optional helical limited slip differential, and interior refinements. The Meridian edition included heated seats and a GPS navigational system. Shortly after, Nissan redesigned the Maxima and introduced its 6th generation. It shared the same platform as the Nissan Altima. This generation Maxima became known in the U.S. for its balance between sport and luxury. It also shared the same VQ35DE engine as the Altima, a double overhead cam V6 engine that produced 265 horsepower. But the Maxima was slower since it was larger in size and heavier in weight. In the meantime, Toyota redesigned and presented the 3rd generation Avalon. It shared the same V6 engine as the Lexus ES350, which produced 280 horsepower. It had distinctive and bolder styling than its predecessor. It was also the first Toyota to use a single-piece wiper blade design and also a dual VVTi in the U.S. market. This 3rd generation Avalon was only sold in North America, for Toyota had discontinued selling this line in Europe and Japan at the end of the previous generation. Not long after, Nissan introduced the 7th generation Maxima. This time, it was built on the Nissan D platform, same as the Nissan Altima and Murano. The only transmission offered was a revised version of Nissan's Xtronic CVT with paddle shifting. This generation was sleeker and slightly fatter. Toyota followed next with the 4th generation Avalon. The redesign included a new grille and lights. Toyota also announced a hybrid gas-electric model that used a revised version of Toyota's hybrid Synergy drive powertrain, similar to the one that powered the Camry hybrid. It could do 40 miles per gallon in the city and 39 miles per gallon on the highway. Meanwhile, declining sales of full-size cars led Nissan to re-examine their Maxima line. They seriously contemplated discontinuing the Maxima. But the Maxima was Nissan's longest-selling continuous model in the U.S. with a multi-generational fan base. In fact, the Maxima car name had better name recognition than the Nissan brand itself. So, Nissan pressed forward and started redesigning a new generation Maxima. They based it on a Nissan Sports Sedan concept, or SSC, which was a design exercise to demonstrate a next generation that was bolder, sportier, and futuristic. Nissan engineers benchmarked expensive sports cars for the Maxima's structural rigidity and stiffness target. Nissan also found inspiration in the jet fighter. They sent designers to visit the U.S. Navy's Blue Angels for concept ideas. The result was the 8th generation Maxima. Its body was lower, more sculpted, and streamlined with the fighter jet sweep. It sported a floating roof design as a tribute to the canopy of a jet fighter. Its interior featured refined seating and a wrap-around cockpit, inspired by a fighter pilot's seat. The new model was 25% stiffer than its predecessor, due to stiffer and lighter strut tower brace and use of high-strength steel. Yet the car was 82 pounds lighter. And that's how we come to the current Maxima, with its 3.5-liter VQ35DE V6 engine, which produces 300 horsepower and 261 pound-feet of torque, mated to the Xtronic CVT. It's still the sportiest in its segment, and it's been called an athlete in a tailored suit. In the meantime, we come to the 5th generation Toyota Avalon. It shares the GAK platform as the Lexus ES, including the chassis, the engine, and other hardware. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, IIHS, awarded a Top Safety Pick Plus honor to the Avalon. The 2021 Avalon features a large new front grille and powerful V6 engine that produces 301 horsepower. To this day, the Avalon Hybrid remains the only electrified car in this class, delivering 43 miles per gallon on the highway. The Toyota Avalon has been in production for over 25 years, and it's still manufactured in Georgetown, Kentucky. The Avalon is considered among the 3 most reliable models in the full-size car segment. In general, it has an above-average fuel economy compared to many other full-size sedans. The Avalon Hybrid is nearly double the gas mileage of its gas-powered version. The Avalon retains 65% of its original value after the first 5 years. Thefts for the Avalon are historically low, and not as high as thefts for the Corolla or Camry. The Toyota Avalon and the Nissan Maxima are currently neck-to-neck in sales in the U.S. Last year, Toyota sold 18,400 new Avalons, whereas Nissan sold 18,000 Maximas. But now let's look at used models. Wondering which used Toyota Avalon models are best and which ones are the least reliable and should be avoided? Let's knock off the worst ones first. That includes the 2014 Avalon. That model didn't receive the most volume of complaints, but it's on the list because issues related to that model are among the most expensive to fix. The worst reported issue was unexpected accelerations, which led to multiple accidents and injuries. The average cost to fix was over $7,000. Eventually, Toyota issued a recall for the accelerator pedals in some of their cars, but not the Avalon. So the courts ruled that Toyota had been negligent and penalized Toyota with a $1.2 billion fine. But the worst model is probably the 2006 Avalon. Many drivers had to repair the engine because they experienced sudden loss of power and engine failure without warning at 60,000 miles. In some instances, the engine failure was caused by a severe oil leak at around 50,000 miles. Many cars were able to get the oil leak problem resolved under warranty. But now, which used Avalon models are the best? The 2016 Avalon in later years didn't exhibit the serious engine problem, and the only complaints are rather minor, like issues with the speakers or the infotainment system. So in general, the 2016 model is a good bet in terms of quality. It's also a good value because with the 2016 Avalon, you save about 54% compared to a brand new model. So now, what about the Nissan Maxima? Which used models are best and which ones are the least reliable? Let's start with the worst years. The worst reported problems with the Nissan Maxima has been transmission problems with the 04 to 06 models. Common complaints were that the car would slip and jerk when shifting of the transmission or outright failing. Typically, it happened around 100,000 miles and cost owners $3,000 to replace the transmission. Several owners reported that their check engine light came on due to failed ignition coil. Normally, this was seen around 136,000 miles in the 1995 to 2002 models, but also 2004, 2007, 2009. Damage to one coil can cause damage to other coils. Replacing all coil sets can cost about $900. So, which used Nissan Maxima models are best? Consumer Reports recommended the 2011 Maxima. It scored 5 out of 5 for predicted reliability. In general, it's been noted for its responsive handling and comfort. The 2014 Maxima is also a good value. It earned a perfect reliability score and is also noted for its relatively good fuel economy for a large car. The 2017 Maxima is okay too. Reliability rating is above average. But now, you tell me, what do you like more? Please comment below and share your experience and stories about the Toyota Avalon or Nissan Maxima. If you liked this video, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for your support.